We have to look for African solutions to our problems. Until we get there, we are going to be forever manipulated. Our smartest people are being recruited and used against us, and we don't even see it. It's very frustrating.
Leadership is becoming an issue so far as Africa is concerned. The unemployment is made by us. Who embezzle the funds? Is it a white man? Who engages in corruption? We go with favoritism and nepotism. We vote on ethnic backgrounds. We are the architects of what we are building so far as Africa is concerned.
Knowledge is the greatest weapon against any oppressor. Telling people about the past is not living in the past. Educating people will help us reduce the potential for developing more Judases among us. Also, education will reduce greed.
One of our problems is dogmatic religion. If we emancipate our minds, we have to fight this psychological warfare against religion eating deep into our system. If we Africans can treat our continent the way we treat the religion, if we can begin to understand the fact that we are Africans before any other thing, I think this union will begin to set in. But we want to resist the devil by all means, but we don't want to resist poverty.
Africa will be great. Africa must be great.
Seek ye the political kingdom, and everything else shall be added unto you. Africa. Welcome to the first episode of Political Kingdom. Gamma Coffee is my name. Africa on Trial is the program. In 1885, European leaders met at the notorious and wicked Berlin Conference to divide a continent, Africa, and draw up lines that are known to us today as borders. To this very day, Africa on Trial is the program. Political Kingdom. 138 years ago, no Africans were available, no Africans were invited. The Berlin Conference, only Europeans were involved in sharing the continent, drawing lines that have separated us, lines that have brought division amongst the Africans. We've seen a lot of wars in Africa. We've come to a point of not realizing who we are as people. This division of Africa that was done in Berlin 1885 remind me of the story in the good book that reads, "They divided my garments amongst themselves, and they cast lots for my clothes." John 19:23 and 24. Division. Could it be that we've come to normalize the division that is amongst us as Africans? Could it be that we don't care anymore about the power and the effects of the division that was created for us to live in up until this day? The one that has crippled the continent of Africa, keep it underdeveloped. Africa, when will be the right time for us to realize that for us to make it in anything that we think of, to compete on a global scale, the first key for us to achieve that is for us to come together as Africans, to forget the divisions. Your grandparents did not create the borders. My grandparents did not create the borders. We are not involved and we did not participate in the division of the continent of Africa. Why should we accept that up until now? Maybe then, that time, we could have said that most Africans were uneducated. We could have said that maybe most Africans did not know the impact of the division, the impact of the borders, the impact of the lines that were drawn in Berlin. But right now, after 136 years, are you telling me that we as Africans, we don't realize the negatives that the division of Africa has brought amongst us? This can be only understood if we can break it down into small particles, because sometimes when people are talking about these things, they are using big words that maybe sometimes they get us confused, not to understand exactly what are we talking about when we talk about the division, the borders that were not there before the Berlin Conference, the borders that were created and imposed on us, the ones that are enabling our development in Africa, the ones that are crippling the movement of us as Africans. Imagine you having a family in another country in Africa. For you to go and see them, you have to produce documents that first of all, you have to pay for those documents, and you have to change the currencies just to move around in areas that maybe takes you 3-4 hours. But again, you have to change the currencies. You have to stop at a border and they have to stamp you, ask you questions like you don't belong to the continent. These are the things we're saying. Do we realize the potential of the division that was created 136 years ago. Political Kingdom is the episode. Africa on Trial is the program. Gamma Coffee is my name. Taking step by step for us as Africans to understand, to break things down so that every person, wherever we are as Africans, we will be able to understand the great impact, the large scale effects of this attempt. It's no longer even an attempt. This achievement of the Europeans for divisions that they created in Africa. We've seen wars, civil wars that have been happening in Africa. I'm not that, you're not this, hence we can just kill each other. We've been killing each other for political reasons. We've been killing each other for religious reasons. And yet again, we are killing each other for the divisions. All these things, they are not of African origins. We've adopted systems that are eating our political kingdom. That's why we're saying, seek ye the political kingdom first, and everything shall be added unto us as Africans. When we look at the divisions that the Berlin Conference created, and we are still sitting here pretending like it has nothing to do with our daily lives, I want to take you to small things that we take for granted, for you and I to understand why are we not able to achieve some of the things that we are unable to achieve. For you who are soccer lovers, football lovers in the continent of Africa, I know there are a lot of people in Africa who love soccer, who love football. I want to walk with you step by step for you to realize that the way you love Manchester, Chelsea, and all other teams outside of the continent of Africa, this could have been the Africa that you know, with all the potentials of having good players, good teams, and by the end of the day, having a good national team that comprises of all the states in Africa. Something that can have a great impact on the lives of the Africans. Imagine the ones that we talk about, the highest paid outside of the continent of Africa when it comes to soccer. The ones that we talk about, the Messis and all those people that are around in the soccer kingdom. Imagine if Africa could have united, if Africa could have come together, we could have had all those players here in Africa. We've seen good players in Africa, but they don't go further because the continent itself has no structures that can keep the players intact in one place to concentrate on their careers. These are the things that we need to look up. We're not analyzing the sports, but these are the things that if we can sit and think about the unification of Africa, we can achieve greater things and the world will know that there is a continent called Africa. When was the last time that Africa, if I may ask, I will use the word when was the last time, just for you to indulge me and the surprise of your answers to tell me when was the last time African country won the World Cup? When was the last time the African country got to the finals of the World Cup? These are the things that we need to know, things that were planned. The division was created knowing that the moment Africans come together to create one thing, everything that Africans will touch will have a great impact to the world. That's why this was well planned, knowing that generation after generation, Africans won't be able to achieve the things that they could have achieved so easily. It's because we've accept and normalize the abnormal. We've accept to sit in uncomfortable zones thinking that this is exactly where we belong as Africans. Even as I'm speaking some of these things that I'm saying right now, before you even try to think of it practically, some of you have already started criticizing me, and you are Africans as well. You don't take time to think. I might be wrong, but there is an essence to what I'm saying, that if us as Africans, we can try to pick some of the things that might help us, we might realize that there are things that we can use and can benefit us as Africans. The selfishness that was created by the division, it's the same way that has crippled our mind to keep us in chains that still makes us to feel that we are unable and incapable of doing things on our own, unless if the white people come through. These are the things that were created so that our mind should not think that we can do things on our own. Political Kingdom is the episode, Africa on Trial is the program, Gamma Coffee is my name. We can just think of the small things that we take for granted. We're talking about football or soccer, the advantages that we can have if we can come together, 55 states in Africa having one country to say, let's work together, let's achieve great things. I guarantee you, the first year that we can come together as Africans to stand in unity when it comes to all sports, it will be the first year that Africa will take all the World Cup in every sectors of every sports activities. I want to take you to the other sector in Africa that we